The word meditation in Sanskrit is called dhyana, D-H-Y-A-N, dhyan. Dhyana means to pay attention. If we try to find the root in Latin, there is a word called meditare, which means to think. So those are the literal meanings. I also know that there are other schools of meditation where they are advising their students to find a way to stop thinking. Are you familiar with those schools where people struggle with their mind and want to stop thinking? Unfortunately, they don't really work because it's the dharma, it is the duty of the mind to think. For example, if I was to tell my eyes not to see, and I sit half an hour every day, I stare at a wall, and I tell my eyes not to see. I can start that from the age 11 and end up at the age of 95. My eyes are still going to see, because it is the nature of the eyes to see. How the eye sees, that you can train your eyes. But not to see is not the nature of eyes. You can't tell your mind not to think. Yes, you can rise above the field of mind, which is what Vedantins do. People who understand Vedanta, they rise above the state of mind. Tantrics have found another way, which is step by step working with the elements. Because if you truly understand the nature of the causal body, it's called causal body, cause of the bodies. Then you realize that before it reaches the physical body, there is another field called the subtle body. In Sanskrit, they are called Karan Sharira, causal body, Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, and Sthul Sharira, physical body. So physical body is the last of the three bodies. And interestingly enough, they are connected with the receptacles in our brain. Our left brain is connected with our causal body. Every thought that ever came to us, it comes from the causal body. And who is receiving it? Our left hemisphere of the brain. Every feeling that arises, that is received by our right hemisphere of the brain. But in the absence of having the understanding of the subtle body or causal body, we erroneously think that the brain is producing the thoughts and the feelings. I asked a professor of anatomy once that you are teaching us that the body is made up of anywhere between 70 to 100 trillion cells. The cells, do they have any feeling? Do the cells have any thinking capacity? And they said, no. Then I said, how do you then believe that the brain is producing the thoughts and feelings? He says, I don't know. This is a professor of anatomy. It's just a conviction that the brain is producing. It's like saying that your computer is producing what you read on the screen. Now, somebody is typing something. We are receiving the messages. How does an invention take place? Where does the creativity come from? Where does the poem come from? Where does a melody come from? They're coming from somewhere. The recipient is the brain. But in the absence of having any idea about the subtle body or causal body, obviously we're going to be materialists and we're going to say, yeah, matter is producing the thoughts and feelings. So that is something that has to be brought to the light. That's why I took the years to write this book. You can see the size of it. It explains a lot about the subtle body and causal body and physical body, obviously. Because we are born into the physical body, we start to think we are the physical body. We forget that we live in this physical body. There is a subject that lives in the object called the body. Body is an object. Body is not the subject. I am the subject. Now the question is, am I the body? First transition that takes place is called the first linga. I will tell you about the lingas in a few minutes, because part of the question was the elements. We know that the body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, space, akasha. And it is nurtured by the prana. Prana is our breath. We take in the breath in order to nurture the 5 elements that we are made up of, bodies are made up of. And if you study Swar Yoga, you realize that when you're breathing predominantly with the right nostril, there is a cycle that takes place. First of all, the nostril change at the rate of about an hour, average of an hour. Right nostril is dominant for an hour later the left is dominant. Then an hour later the right is dominant. But within that hour, 20 minutes we breathe in the earth element to support the earth part of our body. What does the earth part of the body contribute? Bones, nails, anything that is solid. Then we have 73% water. For 16 minutes, we take the moisture from the environment to keep the waters purified, energized. You know, when the waters get stagnant, they create problem. A flowing water has prana in it. It doesn't create a problem. That's why in the old text it says, never drink stagnant water. Always drink water that's flowing. It's healthier. Then for 12 minutes we breathe in the fire element. 8 minutes the air element and 4 minutes akasha. And then for 56 seconds to a minute, both nostrils become evenly open so that all 5 elements can just settle down. And then the left nostril will start. And the whole sequence of earth, water, fire, air, akasha will go and then come back to the right nostril. Day in and day out is going on. And Swar yogis observe that because they want to find a way to discover the subject, I. You know, it is not only an Indian idea, although basically it is, but in Greece, Socrates, his dictum was, know thyself. He never said, know thy body, thy mind, thy soul, nothing. Self. Because the body cannot be the self. Body lives in this structure. And we can even have a scientific proof of that. With the last breath, the subject departs. You know, in some cultures it is said that so-and-so left their body, meaning they passed on. Have you ever heard that in any culture? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. In other words, if we were the body, would we have not taken our body with us? No. Body is left behind. You can see all the graveyards as a proof. More difficult to prove is, when does the life really start? From this philosophy, life starts just as the union takes place between the male and the female, and who we really are, the subject, enters. Subject is not from the mother, subject is not from the father. Subject is totally independent. It enters. And then, of course, it nurtures in 40 weeks and you deliver it, and then it's required that for 40 weeks you breastfeed the baby. If you are in tune with the laws of the three bodies. Because if you offer all that is necessary for a baby to develop into a loving adult, and then in search for the self do some spiritual work, that's only going to be possible if the first 5 chakra minds, so to speak, that thrive with the earth element, water, fire, air, and akasha. After the 5 minds, there is another field. We'll talk about that in time to come. So, and no matter which mind we deal with, the role or the purpose or the goal of every mind is to reach contentment. In fact, every action we perform expects a state of contentment, even when it is drinking a glass of water. When you're thirsty, you drink a glass of water, content. So all actions are done, basically, to feel content. And when all the 7th, in my book you will read that there is a 7th micro chakra in each of the 7 chakras. 7th micro chakra stands for contentment. So when all 7 chakra minds are content, you are nearly enlightened. I say nearly. And in order to help these minds to experience contentment, we do all kinds of things that, including making sounds of chakras and making, all mantras are made up of sounds of chakras. Sounds of chakras are basically 52. And most languages are made up of the sounds of chakras. Some languages have 52, some languages have 37, some languages have 26 of the 52 sounds of chakras. But whatever they heard, they created that language. There are some languages that are only 18. You see? Now, each of these sounds has a certain property. And as the time passes, you will see that how a sound can be, shall I say, in the beginning, the sounds are decorated. Like there are notes, You know, there are 12 tones in an octave. Everybody knows that? 12 tones in an octave? And they are there to make melodies and to make arrangements of the notes, and very entertaining and very, it prepares you for spiritual work. But then you have to get a little bit more sophisticated and see if there are more intervals within the notes. Indian musicians, they work with 22 tones in an octave. That's why sometimes it's difficult for people to hear Indian music, because they use tones that most people are not accustomed to hearing. But once you begin to learn that those quarter tones, they are there to decorate a note. Just like we decorate the body, we clothe it, then we put ornaments on it. Why? Because it looks beautiful. So notes are also like a bare body. You can beautify it. And this is what we will be practicing and learning over this series of classes that will be taught. So I can tell you more about it, but I want to stop here, something, if it was not clear, so that I can explain it before we do some sounds. Anybody with any question? Can you speak louder?
The chanting and the feel or having experience of the mantra will be different depending on what
element you are breathing at any given time. Your experience is limited to the element that you are breathing. That's why whether it's a melody or it is a chant or it is a sound of the chakras that you make, different people will have a different effect, because everybody is not breathing the same element at the same time. We all have our own individual rhythm. And usually the rhythm starts with the time when the sun rises. That is why it is so important to be awake at that time, so that your solar plexus is in tune with the rising sun, and that helps the rebound of that energy then comes to in the middle of the brain. The point is actually where the skull meets the cervical vertebrae. But in the front, this is the point between the eyebrows. So it's like a cone. Solar plexus, sun, and third microchakra of the sixth. When you establish that, 10 minutes of meditation is more than sufficient for the day. Because it's a time-bound meditation. Not like, every day at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, because the sun rises at different times every day. Because people cannot put it into their schedule, because everybody is run by the artificial clock. But nature works with its own clock. And if you really want to overcome your nature, you've got to comply with the natural rhythms. It will be much easier to conquer that nature. Most people even don't understand the concept of conquering nature. They think they're conquering another country, conquering another something outside, which is also part of the drama. But ultimately, you have to conquer your own nature. It's only then that you will realize that you are in the nature, but you are not of the nature. That's the journey. We live in the matter. We are not the matter. Next week I'll bring you a quotation from Einstein. I don't want to paraphrase it. You have it? Oh, I can. Yes, please. I wish I could memorize that.
I have a lot of them.
No, one is enough. Einstein said,
There are more lights.
for the moment, can you raise the light? Now, I need not introduce Einstein, but one thing I can tell you is that he was a scientist, an exceptional scientist. He was not a saint, he was a scientist. Maybe he was a saintly scientist, you can say. And he said, concerning matter, we have been all wrong. What we have called matter is energy, whose vibration has been so lowered to be perceptible to our senses. There is no matter. Yogis knew that. Therefore they said, okay, our senses are perceiving matter is because the energy is lowering itself to become perceptible. Why don't we raise ourselves so that energy doesn't have to lower, we can rise above it. We can rise above the matter. That was the sole reason why yoga was devised. Because once you leave the field of energy, which is heart chakra, you see, matter is perceived with the earth, water, and fire elements. Earth element gives us this ability to smell. Water element gives us the ability to taste. Fire element gives us the ability to see. So these three things are only perceiving the matter. In the heart chakra, it is pure love. That is energy. And that's what scientist Einstein discovered. That it's all energy. He didn't call it love, because the scientists would have gotten mad at him. Probably. So he just called them energy. But you can refine the energy. If you refine the energy, it will become sound. If you refine the sound, it will become light. I just described to you the 7 chakras, actually. Air element gives us the ability to touch. You can refine your touch. I have trained dozens of people who are doing inner tuning massage of the head with some pressures on the energetic points in the head, neck, and face, and some part of the shoulders. And people have had almost an out-of-body experience just by having a half an hour of a massage. You can have a whole body massage for 2 hours and not feel what you can in less than half an hour if it is done properly. Because these people that I have trained, they're working with the touch. And there is a sensitivity of the touch. There is a direction how the touch energy is moving out of your fingertips. It has a hue, actually. And if you get more refined, it has a sound. And when you are able to feel the sound, you can feel the microchakras. It just requires a little bit more and more refinement. But in the busy world of today, when people really have to be concerned about how to conquer the nature enough so that we can survive, because we weren't designed to live in the ice-covered peaks. No, humans evolved around the equator, where the energies were most balanced. Sunrise time and sunset time doesn't change very much, because the energies are balanced. That's where the humans evolved. And we must understand that. In search for food, of course, we went northward and southward. So here we are, caught by the snow-covered peaks. What do we do? After we work for 300 weeks, we want to go somewhere nice and warm, where you feel at home. So where do you go? Somewhere near the equator, or somewhere where the climate is very much like the equator. We call it vacation. That's why when people go to India, they see the light is so different from any other place. The earth has very different vibrations. Those who are sensitive, they feel them. We are going to do some sounds, and I just want to explain to you. Can you all see this from distance? Yeah, we need some more light. When we do the sounds, then you can turn it down. Yeah. These are the first three chakras: earth chakra, water chakra, and fire. And this fire chakra, you can see the fire is being pulled by the gravity downward. Why is it being pulled by the gravity? Because nature's plan is to keep the waters warm so that we can have a family. When the waters are not warm, you can't have a family. Some of that fire comes down to the first chakra, so you can build a nest. But you've got to have a nest to lay eggs. And then you provide shelter, care, love to what you have created. So that is the nature's plan. And in the yoga system, it is tied by what is called an iron chain. You see that chain? It's called the iron chain. We are bound by nature. It's like as heavy as iron. But yogis have found a way to break that chain by reversing this fire. So after you have done your dharma, your duty of having a family, and everything is done, then do things to reverse that triangle. And when you reverse that triangle, the fire then goes up. That turns into love. Everybody experiences it. Everybody. Even when this thing is down, the heart chakra mind sometimes needs that fire, so it goes up, but for a short time. As long as you are deeply in love, that triangle is up. But you don't stay deeply in love all the time. Bhaktas do. They are called bhakta, devotees. That's the word they use, devotee. Why? That their fiery triangle is upward. When the fire goes upward, here is the heart chakra. And this is the fifth chakra. The heart chakra, the one triangle here, of the two triangles, one is upward, one is downward. the upward triangle was fiery triangle. So it pushed the fire from the 12 petals of this lotus called the heart chakra lotus. And this is love flowing out in 12 directions, in which there is a love for your father, for your mother, for your brother, for your sister, for your nation, for your cause that you devote yourself to, whatever. So all that fiery energy, ego energy, is being released through 12 different exigencies. When this mind becomes content, there is no fire here. This is a fifth chakra mind. Fifth chakra mind is called the inner guru, knowledge, the inner knowledge. Fifth chakra mind can point the way to the knowledge of who we really are. Because otherwise we are too busy being body. And you know what? Not only body. The body has a gender. Now another world opens up. It's really amazing how the mind plays tricks on us. And once you know that the mind is playing tricks on you, you can get so good at it that you can then direct the mind the way you want. Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that all these 5 minds are like 5 horses. And you have to control them with your reins in your hand. You have to tell them where to go. You let them go where they want to go, life is going to be very rocky. Another visualization is that you are living life like you are riding a horse from the bottom. You're holding on to the big belly of the horse. And the life can get a little, rocky, bumpy. And it takes just a flip to get on the horse. The day you meditate successfully, you are on the horse. But your lower 5 chakra minds will get you down again until you get smart enough to over-smart them. Because they are doing their job as nature. But you have to do your job. You have to know that you are in the nature, but you are not of the nature. And if you are of the nature, then we will have to wait a few lifetimes before you learn your lesson that you are not. Many people do. We all have done it. We were a single cell amoeba at one time. The subject that is talking right now, I, entered the single cell amoeba and found my way to become so sophisticated human being. Wow, I can't give up this life for nature. No. It's an opportunity to realize who I truly am. But then, in order to realize who you truly are, you have to negate what you are not. If you are identifying yourself with your body, then you are not being the subject. You are being the object. What do I say? My glasses. What does that imply? I am the subject. Glasses are an object. Right? Now, my body. I am the subject. Body is an object. Which means that the I must be dwelling in the body for me to say, is my body. Is that something you understand? But we never create that unless, you are very ill and you are in the bed for many, many days. Sometimes that dawns on you. But as long as we are confronted with joys and pleasures and entertainment and all that, whether they are sports, or those are things to keep yourself busy with. They actually don't allow you to know who you are. You're just entertaining yourself, thinking that life is just nothing but, that's called hedonism. You have heard of hedonism? We are more than a hedonistic being. Let's do some sounds. Most languages begin with the sound of ah or a. Ah. I'm going to teach you this sound with the principle of chanting according to Nada Yoga. Nada Yoga suggests that you use pure prana to invest in the sound that you're going to make, which means that breathe in with your nose and your air will get filtered. It will be a little bit better than the air that you take in with your mouth. So if you keep on breathing with your nose and you repeat after me, and then we'll see where it goes. I'll give you better instructions for the next series of sounds, but just want to have a quick reaction from you, just in one or two words.
Very grounded and opened up to like the subtle plane.
Mm-hmm. And how about you? Very good. And how about you?
Vulnerable yet nurturing.
Vulnerable and nurturing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Relaxed, calm.
Calm and relaxed. Mm-hmm.
Ways of
energy.
Bright energy. You?
A feeling of presence.
Presence. Yes. And you?
Feeling flow.
Flow.
Compacting.
You?
Gentle light and vibration right side of brain.
Expansion.
Expansion. We're going to chant a mantra. It's called Adhyakshaya. Can you repeat after me? Adhyakshaya.
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 After 4 repetitions, you keep on listening. Adhyakshaya. 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 Aya. 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 Adhyakshaya. Adhyakshaya. Aya. Aya. Adhyakshaya. Adhyakshaya. Aya. 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 Adhyakshaya. Adhyakshaya. Just a quick reaction.
So grounded and present.
How about you?
Pulsing in the lip,
Sorry?
pulsing in the lip, upper lip.
And for you?
Very calm and profound energy.
How about you?
Yeah, very calming again and very present.
Present and calm.
Yes.
Mhm.
A deep stillness.
I felt like sleepy and then connected to
Everything.
else.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I need to stretch out my body.
You want to, want to expand.
Exactly.
And you?
Calm.
That's nice. How about you?
Feel little pull up, but my shoulder blades little pull down.
Ah. And Meena?
I feel the boost of energy on euphoric energy to the heart chakra and
Euphoric.
yes,
Yeah.
and flowing through the hands.
Mm-hmm. Marsha?
I feel magnificent. I feel I was gone just for a while. Gone.
Yes. This mantra, it gives you more confidence in your root chakra, your earth chakra, so that when you sit quiet, you become like a pillar. It's called the linga. Because it is root chakra. Root means that it's like the basement of a building. And the stronger, the deeper, the more solid the root chakra is, the higher up you can go. And sustain that feeling of stability when you get into the higher chakra minds. Otherwise they waver. That's why so much of emphasis is given for people to develop spiritually, that keep your colon cleansed 2 times a day, before sunrise, before sunset, empty your bowels. If you are not doing it, learn to do it. In the purifications, we teach people how to purify the physical body first. Then, once the physical body is purified, we go to the subtle body, where you have to work with your feelings. Because the feelings can bring you down, feelings can bring you up. It depends on the purity of the feeling. Then comes the causal body purification, in which your thought processes, they get purified. You stop thinking of negative things about yourself or even about other people. Because you rise above them. That triggers a compassion, a deeper understanding that people are what they are, who they are. Nature is what it is. And everybody has the right to grow. It's an extraordinary experience to go through if you ever have taken a purification. And there are several of you who have taken many purifications. How many have you taken?
At least 15.
15 purifications. How about you, Marsha?
I no longer remember.
And Marina, how many of you?
We're all purified, Shyamji.
You're all purified. How about you?
I think around 10.
10. Who else? Enrique?
Over 30, 40?
30, 40. You get addicted to it, really, because it's such a good feeling. You know? You rise above the field of mind. Boy, that state is so pure and so desirable. Yes. Anybody with any question? Yes, please.
So is the energy of anger connected with the fire?
Yes,
and
it is.
balance of the
It's
fire?
actually, it's mismanaged fire. Mismanaged, you know?
So what are some of the keys to managing the fire energy? Not having it just
The
come out by itself?
Yeah, the fire chakra needs to be purified. Then coupled with the first chakra, which is the root chakra. When you are stable, you don't get challenged easily. Because you're so deeply rooted that somebody who's trying to annoy you, yeah, it's their problem. It's their problem, not yours. But you see, when you start to own other people's problems, you react. But if you allow them to live with they're already suffering, having that problem. You don't have to add fuel to the fire. You stay rooted where you are. It's a mismanaged fire, and it can be helped. But you have to take action to do something, you know. Just going for a psychotherapy and having 10 sessions with a psychologist, well, temporarily it might help, but you have to go to the root cause. When you work with the basic elements, everything depends on those elements. I mean, 73% of your body is water. The rest is all solid. Then it has a fire, and if your diet is good, you get good fire. Most of the times we don't have a good fire because the fuel that we are putting in is not appropriate to the body type, to the season in which you are eating, to the geography where you are living. There are a number of things to consider. You know, it's nothing to brag about, but I'm nearly 84 years old and I'm traveling the world 3 times a year, teaching people what I'm teaching you, conducting purifications from South America, North America, Europe, India. People think I'm lying to them about my age. I say, well, that's your problem. You know, I can't help that. If you want to perceive something in a way that you have decided to perceive, I can't help you with that. Yeah. But if you have any desire to change, take a purification. Yeah. You had a question?
Yes. You mentioned the subject-object relationship with common objects.
Mm-hmm.
But what about family members and other human beings when you say this is my aunt, this is my teacher? How do you manage that relationship?
Those are all what is called lokachar. Lokachar is a way to relate to other people. You know, there is an ethic of how to relate to other people. For that reason, we want to be polite, we want to be understanding. That's why we develop a compassion, so that you can accept people where they are. Because everybody wants to become better. There's no doubt about that. Human beings basically are having a potential to realize their own divinity. That's how great we really are. We have that potential. But because we are caught in this 95% dark energy and dark matter, that 5% light that there is not enough. So the yogis, they started to increase that light. Little by little, little by little, little by little. You have to keep doing it. And then other people do what they are doing. If everybody was to do their own spiritual work, we would be living in a planet that is thriving rather than a planet that's becoming hollow because of our selfish needs. We are draining. You know, we used to think that the earth is an inanimate object. You remember when you went to college? That's what you probably learned. That's what I learned when I went to college. That earth is an inanimate object. Now we are realizing that it's a breathing body. Then I understood why in India, when these farmers, they need a log because the little bridge broke down, they go to a big tree, old tree, and they put their hands, 4 or 5 people, seniors of the village, and they request, and they say, our bridge broke down, we need a log. So we have to get one of these trees to offer their life. And in the meantime, while they are talking to this old one, there are 4 guys with the axe, they're starting to cut the one that they want. It's just like a pediatrician when he gives an injection to the baby. What does he say? Look at that bird. So that the tree doesn't get so much of hurt. I would say, why are they doing that? Because earth has feelings. Earth is a living, breathing body. And in the last 400 years, we have nearly destroyed it. And what's going to happen? It's going to go back to earth, to water. It came out of water, it will go back to water. Oceans are rising, signs are very clear. People are in the denial, those who think that it's not a fact. So we need more light, we need more knowledge. Yes, last question.
What does the mantras mean that we were saying?
Sorry?
What do the mantras mean that we were saying?
This mantra?
Yeah.
Adhyakshaya? The word adhyaksha means to take charge. Adhyakshaya. I am in charge. Because when you are in charge, your root chakra, mind, will get more and more solid. I have given this mantra to people who have any kind of insecurity. And due to insecurity, we can get afraid, we can get angry, we can get frustrated, we become kind of victims of negative emotions. And then we keep on going through a loop of the negative emotion from this to that to that to that. I give them this mantra to chant for 40 days, but most mantras are effective after you take a purification. You see? When the 3 bodies are cleansed, you have a better understanding. You have more sensitivity. Your senses become sharper. Remind yourselves, matter to energy will require some training. Otherwise, Einstein was not a poet. When he says that all that is energy, he's talking facts. He's talking facts. Can we realize that fact in our lifetimes? My impression is yes. But we have to do something about it. And that's what you will learn more so in the series that is coming and the purifications that's coming. We have a beautiful little place where we take a dozen people or so that we can really give them good service. So look into it. Okay, now there's enough time for me to play this instrument for some time. Yeah? Would you like to hear that?
Yes.
All right. Can you clear this? Okay. Oh, Those of you who are sitting on the floor, see if you can sit with your right leg over the left. Those of you who are sitting in the chair, make a V shape with your feet, and don't let the heels touch. Just keep a little distance.
Namaste, Namaste,
Ya Devi Sarvabhutesh Vidyarupini Samstita Namastasya 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 Namo Ya Devi Devi Sarvabhutesh Samstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Just as we start our meetings with a mantra, we end also with a mantra. Please repeat after me. Raja. Ram. Raja. Ram. Rama. Rama.